Just don't close the app. It's going to upload the high resolution version, and then it's perfect. And then it's going to be much better. You'll see.
All right.
Anyway, I'm here with the Grippler, Ian Carnegie. Yo.
Hey,
So
man.
I'm really excited to talk to you because I do like arm wrestling a lot, as people, and
Yeah.
I am purist. I do like arm wrestling tables we have now. I do
Yeah.
like things that we're doing now. But I saw some matches, especially John Terrian and pulling like that match versus Brendan Elsesser was so crazy that I just want to talk to you about MAC or Major Arm Wrestling Championship.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, like you have completely different table setup, right?
Correct.
Completely different tables. So where would you begin if you want to introduce me to Mac? Do we start
Well,
with tables?
let's start with tables and rules because I feel like the rule set that I wanted to implement could not happen on a WAF table. I don't have a real huge problem with WAF tables other than I find the 7x7 too small. Athletes are growing, and I feel like the bigger the pad, the safer it is. And we can get into that after. But right now, in order to implement my rules, I had to make a different table design. And can I say this? It's just been over a year, and we have not, and thousands of arms have been on this now. We've taken it to states, we've taken it out East Canada, all over Ontario. I can confidently say thousands of arms have been on this table, and we've not had one significant injury. And I think there is some ergonomic reasons for that.
So the table is shape is a little bit different, and it's all flat, right? Except the pads.
No, not quite. It looks like that because video has a hard time creating depth perception. So
Okay.
it's actually what it is the table's slightly risen a little higher than WAF because, oh, there's my dog. Then the table comes across and it is like a slope, right? Yeah, and then flattens out. So the center, or where the elbow pads, that's actually one large insert in the middle of the table. Okay, and that red that you see, that just indicates the playing surface that your elbow is entitled to. Now, that once you put your elbow on the red, if you're resting on the red, we've implemented what's called a running warning system. Red, that's enough. Go lie down. They're allowed to walk in front of the house. It's okay. Yes. All right, sorry. So if I put my elbow onto the red, right, and
Okay.
the referee sees that I'm resting, not touching it, but if I'm resting on the red, you're no longer on the playing surface. He's going to warn you. He's going to say, warning. Then you must immediately get back onto the playing surface. Now you're live. Okay, this is different from a running foul. If I'm in the playing surface and I happen to win, you're good. That's your win. Now, if I go back on there for a one Mississippi count, let's say, then everything's a stop foul. People want to talk about our micro fouls. I want them to get out of the mindset of a micro foul because it sounds like we're allowing something. It's just not a foul. The dip from the top of the tabletop to the elbow pad is a difference of 1 inch. So you have 3/4 of an inch to play with and adjust. And if you're hopping, we don't give a fuck. We just say, you know what? Over an inch, you can't tell me that was incidental. I feel like it's hard to accidentally foul over an inch. Plus, it becomes dangerous, right? Because you can come down on leverage.
Yes.
You want to say this high? I'll buy that. That wasn't intentional. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we're saying it's not a micro foul. It's simply not a foul. What would be constitute a micro foul in our sport is if the elbow comes out of the inch and the referee can see the tip of the elbow. It doesn't matter if it's this much of a tip or that much of a tip. It's a stop foul. We don't allow micro fouls. We just this much under the current level is not considered a foul. Period. All right.
Mhm.
Our pin line is an inch higher, and I'll tell you, your video really struck a chord with me when everyone was talking about the straight arm and this and that.
Yeah.
Try to have a straight arm on a Mac table and not be pinned.
Poor Auden.
Hey, well, does Auden get fully stretched out? I don't know.
He goes really deep. He goes really deep. But
Well,
like,
then, yeah, he might not
we'll
like
talk
this,
about it
but
later.
Auden has a Mac table at his home, the new version, and
Mhm.
He's practicing it. He's going to figure it out. But yeah, we are strict with the King's rule, King's move. Basically, the rule is just like how it stands now. If you dip below in that downward angle, you're done. We don't really require the straight arm rule because I've not seen anybody be able to have a straight arm and not be pinned. It always like this knuckle area, like this finger area, it always seems to get pinned. And I have a King's mover, like those biceps style King's move guys. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Like more like a
Yeah.
hooked one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that. Yeah.
yeah. So I have a guy like that on my club who's real strong, and he was adamant. He's like, I practice on this table all the time. He's like, I can do it. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, you won't be able to. He tried it and he got pinned. And I'm like, it is what it is. And I also believe it's why people aren't blowing their biceps out because, what happens when guys are in open top rolls and they're sitting there and a guy comes in and they press about a half inch before the pin is when their bicep tendon goes, right? Well,
Yes.
so they're already pinned by that time. So there's not a lot of that jerking press to get the guy in that final. You get what I'm saying? So that's why. So we have not had any bicep tears. We have, knock on wood, no broken arms. And I think it's just because of the size of the pad. Whenever you're on a small, if you reduce 7x7 even more, you're going to have way more broken arms because when you can't move from the pressure that's happening, then it's more focused, and then obviously the bone goes. But on our pad being 10 by 9.5, if you feel you can kind of come over here, you can relieve the tension. Do you see what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
therefore,
You have much more room to play around, right?
yeah, which means that direct focus isn't
Yeah.
as static. And if you feel something, there's more exits to that's my theory. And I got it from the arm sumo. They next to like no arm breaks. And people like, in North America, everyone would break their arms. It's like fucking no. You know what I mean? The fact that you can move allows you
Yeah.
to alleviate.
Yes.
Now I didn't want to go freedom fully. I was like, I think our style of arm wrestling, everyone likes. I like my side of the table. You like your side of the table. I like a pin pad. I like an
Yes.
elbow pad. I like a hand peg. So basically, I just was like, how about we make it like arm wrestling? Take the corners off because corners on tables are stupid. I would encourage WAF, even if they took nothing from this, get rid of your corners. It hurts people. People are constantly coming. I remember one East versus West watching like Irakli and what's that, Paul Lynn. They were doing their interviews and they put their arms up and their non-competing arm was bruised and ripped. And I was thinking, this is the craziest thing. And I've been like this for about 12 years, thinking about the whole get rid of the corners thing because I hurt my arm my left once and had to pull out of an event. Like it was such a deep, like because I guess I went smack into the corner and it was
Yes.
like a muscle in between the bicep and the bone, I guess, and it just bruised. Like it started like a knot, and then I'm like, you know what? I am not going to mess with this, and I had to pull out with my left arm.
That is crazy. I never thought of it. I never thought of it, and it like doesn't make sense. We don't need corners. Like literally, there's no purpose for those freaking
No,
corners.
and it came out as an unintended benefit. So I took the corners off, but I wanted to maintain the base of WAF. I think they got things correct. Three things correct in my opinion on the table:
Mhm.
the width, the length,
Mhm.
and the base. To me, I wanted to make sure that I kept that, the 26. And anyway, but when you cut the corners off, you can't have vertical posts anymore, right? Because those now have to move inward, right? So my legs are shaped like an A-frame. The unintentional benefit of it is it's a much more comfortable wrap of your leg because nobody's legs are vertical. We stand like this, right?
Yes.
So if this is my left leg that's going to post and this is going to wrap, the holes kind of go in that direction. So it's a natural lie and you can torque off of it more, and it doesn't leave like you probably never experienced this, but maybe not, but bigger legs, like big calves, and they get bruising on the
Thank
calf
you.
and
Thank you for that compliment.
well, you're not a fatty, okay? You're
Hey,
not a
I
fatty.
just trained with Lars. We just did calves. We just did
Yeah,
calves. Okay?
and the back of a kneecap too, right? Like where guys can get in and pinch. If it's a vertical and they pinch like this, it's like it's like different angles, things competing for the same spot. But if
Yeah.
you're on the angle, it just wraps naturally, right? And so we were like, man, people are gonna, I'm a fucking genius because of this, but it's not true. It just that's the design happened. It wasn't even my idea. John
Oh,
McAlpine, who made the original Mac tables, and I was like, man, you know what? You might have started the trend here. But I admit that the table is slightly complicated to build, and
yeah.
that it would be harder for say third world nations and stuff like that to like this. But my manufacturers are professionals, and they're actually going to come up with something that is easy to manufacture, put together, so everyone can do it. Because I'm honestly, the table is so built, the materials used to try to expect people all around the world to build a table of that quality. There's never been a table like this. I'm telling you, the tabletop is so well made and heavy. Oh, my mailman's coming.
I was gonna say mailman is there. Yeah, yeah.
Ed, it's okay. You've never killed him. You've never given it to him, so it's not
He
going to
knows him
happen.
for 10 years. He's still
Yeah, they hate mailmen. Eh? They just cannot stand. It's like, why are you on my property? Um, and he's a Rottweiler, so they're naturally like protective
Yeah.
of the house.
Also,
Anyway,
natural enemy.
what's that?
Natural enemy of Rottweilers. The
Yeah,
mailman.
the mailman. So like essentially, we understand that it's going to take time to get these tables out there, but man, we can't even fill the orders right now. Like the people make my tables. It's called the manufacturing of chiropractic tables. So their main job is chiropractic tables. They have a
Gotcha.
whole ergonomic team.
Gotcha.
They've got a bunch of suggestions that they want to tell me. They like this prototype, whatever this table that's a iteration of tables, and I hit a home run. But now they got their brain thinking, and they're like, hey, like the body works like this and this and that and the other thing, So I'm interested to hear what they have coming down the line. You know what I mean? Because they're obviously they understand ergonomics and they understand the body. That's what their job is, to build tables like that.
It the
Yeah.
design is very very interesting. Like I would love to get it on and pull and try how it works because it gives you like it's a little bit of mix of what we have WAF, a
Hey,
little bit
we
of
got
freedom.
Mac 4 coming out Eastern Canada, and there's been so many people asking, "Hey, are you able to put Ray on the card?" I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we'll have a conversation with them. But if you ever want to come try it out,
I would do a trip to Canada for sure, and I would want to get on that
yeah.
table.
Well, Dev, like I said, Dev has two houses side by side. I don't know if you know that, but
Yeah, I
he
know.
owns. Okay, so the Mac table's over at Audens. I mean,
Hmm.
so if you want to come, there's one there.
Yeah,
Make a 2-for-1 kind of thing.
yeah, yeah.
I feel like you're going to be shocked at how comfortable it is and how you'll forget. Like you'll look at the table and you'll be like, wow, what is this, right? And then you get on it and everyone says they forget that they're not on a WAF table because it's so comfortable. But really, I feel like it's even more comfortable that because you don't ever see like the pad jumping up and down or anything. It's always stable. Everything you understand what I'm saying? Like it's just
Yeah. There is some disadvantages, some things
so
that you're
I
most likely going to work on, right?
no I because
No.
it's a choice you have to make,
Okay.
okay? And the choice is WAF style arm wrestling is a bigger game. It is play within the rules. You're available in the sport can happen on a WAF table. I think it would improve if the pads were bigger, but it all can happen within the style of WAF. My style eliminates certain parts of the game. It just does. And I had to make a concession. What is my goal? Okay, well, I'd like that people that don't arm wrestle when they have an idea of arm wrestling, they have a preconception of what it is, right? And it certainly isn't a 5-minute setup. It certainly isn't like a multiple stoppages. It certainly isn't like all these weird foul rules. Okay, what they
Yeah.
think is happening is two guys grab each other and pull, and one guy gets pinned or not. At its very basic level. So if slap sport can generate millions of fans because it's the lowest common denominator, I slap you, someone gets knocked the fuck out. I'm dumbing the sport down slightly. Okay, and what I mean by that is if you're a hand ninja, okay, like a real technical guru with your
Yeah.
hand, it is difficult to be that in Mac, right? Because the simplest thing can get you into a strap, and then once you're straps, the whole super match remains that way. Okay,
Mm.
yeah. If you guys say, okay, we don't want straps,
Yeah.
that's fine. It's our job to stay out of the straps, so we can be a hand ninja, no
Okay.
problem. You
Yeah.
beat me, I beat you. That's no problem. But if we do like, and it happened at Mac, and it pissed me off. Is Brandon and John said, okay, let's start out strap. Okay, no problem. They slip immediately. I'm
And
like,
immediately.
you just ruined. I mean, you just like it wasted everyone's time. I call it like airtime wasted. You know,
But they think they're gonna drain the other hand.
they think a lot of things, but again, I've taken so I for 15 years I was with the Devon Lair camp. Right, there
Mhm,
isn't a cheat that I don't know. There
mhm.
isn't a strategy that I haven't heard from that. Okay,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I've of the is I don't really want it to cheat. I just want like to have. I just want to know if I'm better than you or stronger. And you can debate what may be better if they're cheating or not cheating, or a lot of people have their theories. I just want to do this. If my webbing is equal to yours and we're center of the table and the grip is the same and you put the straps on so no one can go anywhere, who's better? And I'll tell you, for speed of action, like we get through super matches, we had an entire super match that took 4 minutes. That's 3 out of 5 because it was a 3-0. They never wanted their minute full, like, and it just, do you
Mhm.
get what I'm saying? It was done in
Yeah.
4 minutes. And that's
Yeah.
okay because if it's a wash, nobody wants to wash it anyway. Do you understand
Mm.
what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah.
it's just nobody
Yeah.
wants to watch it, so we get it through, boom. And then the matches that make sense will go. The other thing is my complaint about it's a complaint. A lot of people might see it as a bonus. I think a lot of WAFs Reddington, it's okay. They're allowed to walk in front of the house. I'm so sorry. I should give them a tranquilizer. Anyway, uh, so I believe a lot of WAF style super matches are inflated results, and I've been talking about this forever, and I hope people forgive me, but generally, if it's a true match between you and me, and you're really stronger than me, the true
Mhm.
result should be 3-0. Okay, that's the way I see it. It's very unless, but in WAF, because it's so hard to play within the rules, the weaker guy can do some things to throw the bigger guy out. This is a tactical thing, right? Where
Yes.
and
Yes.
get like a cheap because he's fouled out or he's so nervous he gets it within his head, hits early and he keeps fouling out or elbow fouling and guys win super matches based on all that. I don't like that. And you know what? I'm not going to change. I'm not asking anyone to change. I'm just saying I want to like a small little piece of the universe that exists that we can just see. If everything's fair, we close our thumbs, we close our hands, and we rip. Who wins that way?
Mm.
Okay, that is what I'm trying to do, and I believe that's more palatable to non-arm wrestlers. Or actually, I'm getting told a lot of arm wrestlers prefer this way as well because the action is going.
Yes.
So I
And
got a
you
call.
actually win. You actually win.
Yes, and that's why we'll have a heavy 3-0 or 3-1 sort of result. It's rare to get a 3-2 result in Mac than anywhere else because
Mm.
you are stuck with your opponent. If I'm stronger than you, Ray, you, you have to foul out. It takes 3 fouls to foul out, and you have a running warning system. So likely those matches will result in a pin. And that's what I think the sport is. Its true nature to its core is who's pinning who. Okay? And
I
this is
agree.
my argument. Do I want to see WAF style arm wrestling disappear? No, I don't. I actually so funny. I made all these rules and stuff like that, but because I've been doing it for 20 years a certain way, I'm actually more effective at WAF. I am. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's just my pulling style. People think I'm a hooker. I'm actually not. I'm more of a high hooker presser, you know? And so I did because I wanted to be a hooker, but I found it when they kept twisting my wrists so far backward, it was almost impossible for me to get forward. I just couldn't develop that. So I developed this really strong. And because I knew my wrist was going to be super over rotated, right? So we don't do that. We do what's called the natural lie of the arm. So if you stand up, your elbows turn inward, right? So when it's a 10 by 10 if I put my elbow on the right side here, you start the elbow on the right side there. If we meet at center, it's our natural lie. It's the natural lie. All right.
Yeah.
That's how we start. Close your thumb. And people say, oh, that'll like be favored to hookers. Well, we statistically, a top roller versus a top hooker, and I favor inside pulling, but right now the top rollers have the advantage. Now, there is a lot of hook matches. Why? I like hookers on the card because I like. Do you get what I mean? I like
Yeah.
seeing a grind. I like seeing a war.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I put them together. But
None of that
John,
boring top roll shit. Come on.
no, it's
No,
like,
no.
and then they're doing this stuff, and it's like, what are you doing? Like it looks like spaghetti fingers. I just don't understand it, you know.
Yeah.
But listen, we all know there can be great top rolling wars too when it's back and forth. Like that's interesting too, you know. I just like, and that's what John Terrian's and
Brandon.
Brandon's was. They were all high posting outside moves, and they
Yeah.
were going crazy. Some of them finished in a hook, some didn't. But yeah, buddy. Like I'm telling you, I have to do that work-life balance thing where I'm just put the phone down because the phone is ringing from all over the world. That like I'm getting calls from Taiwan, and this morning I got a call from Antigua, or a message from Antigua.
Mhm.
I have Philip Larson from Sweden coming. Guys around the world are interested. You know,
Really
I
good.
got a Russian on there. I got a Ukrainian. We've kept separate from each other. Just
Man,
kidding.
it's a very interesting concept, and I want to see like I think arm wrestling could always be improved, right? Just because we're doing things one way doesn't mean we're doing the right way. Whatever makes sport better for more people, I think, is the best one. Devin always portrays like the freedom arm wrestling and sumo arm wrestling, and I feel like that is a little bit like he said it's evolution, but I feel like it's going a little bit backwards, right?
Mm,
Because I do like our tables, I do like the setup, because it's been a generation we've been growing on this, right? And now to
yeah.
change everything completely and say like you don't need this, it's kind of crazy, but
I'm on the opposite thought process. I'm not saying that freedom is the evolution, the way to go. I with your point about keeping it the same and stagnant. I don't know a single sport that does that. All the top sports change
yes.
equipment, designs. People were talking about what about the field? Look, there's American football, right? You know about American football,
Yeah,
the where you throw. Okay, in Canada, if you're a European and you're looking at the Canadian game and the U.S. game, you're going to say that's the same. But a Canadian looking at a U.S. and a U.S. looking at the Canadian, they're like, "Fuck, it's not even the same sport." Okay,
mm,
our field is 10 yards longer. We have 10 extra yards in the end zones deeper. Our end zone goalposts are at the front of the end zone. Theirs is at the back. We have an extra man on the field. We allow 3 people to run in motion before the snap. They only allow one. There's so,
so
and
many things.
yet,
Yeah,
even though it's so, they recognize that that's football. That's football. So when
yeah,
you look at Mac, it might not have all the WAF has, but we have a lot of different things. At the end of the day, everyone that's ever arm wrestled at Mac says, "Yeah, it's arm wrestling. It's arm wrestling." You know?
man, it good. Like I do in the matches. I watch the matches. I think there's freedom and there's a little bit of restriction, but I feel like if you can have like opponents that are somewhat close, that you can have really good matches there, and
Well, we need
we
to
will.
grow. This is our second event. I
Yeah,
mean, I'll tell you, I won't other people or promotions, but when I get on conversations with some of these promoters, they cannot believe how far and how well we're doing in our second. You know
mhm.
what I mean? Like we're not even killing ourselves financially. Like we're okay. You know, and we're able to spend. Like we were thinking one every 6 months, to recoup from different things, and then it's like, dude, we did one the 21st of December. We're ready for March 8th.
Also, you had like a lot of athletes on the card, like 20 matches, right?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, and like you should just keep it to 13. If we do matches, we're done in an hour and a half, 2 hours. We also want to give the people who paid the pay-per-view, and we want to give the people that bought the tickets that sit there some sort of, like it's, arm wrestling. We're a social, you know what I mean? And we're used to being at tournaments that are 8-9 hours anyway, So like, what if we do something matches and we can do in that 3.5-4 hours? I think it's a perfect compromise. But I'm one of 3 partners, and they all have opinions too, and we're trying to find what the community really wants. 13 matches at MAC wouldn't make sense, in my opinion. It would just go too fast. Nobody wants to pay, $20 for, well, it's $20 Canadian, it's $15 American for, something like that's as long as the Game of Thrones episode. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's the other thing. We have a clock system for our shoulders, so nobody practices like this. And I'll tell you something. WAF should really reconsider this rule. Okay, when you try to get a guy to line this shoulder with this shoulder, you are now releasing tension in the bicep, so that if I'm top, like I immediately I'm sorry, someone tried to call me.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So okay, next time you're on the table with your buddy there, do this. Grab the hand peg, just put your elbow down. If you look at your shoulders, you're at the 11 o'clock in relation to the table, which is 12 to 6. This is how we set up. And you can access bicep pressure in the proper way. Go forward if you want. Now, do this. See how much this shoulder has to recant when you've come forward. Now see if you can access your bicep in the same way. That is why people are being pushed, and they don't want to be like that because they cannot access their bicep. So what are we doing? Do you understand what I'm saying? So I feel like if you just allow WAF should adapt this, honest to God. I know they won't, but they won't because they're perfect, right? But anyway, 11 to 6 o'clock, everyone will be happy. Now, if guys start to do this shit, then push their shoulder in a bit. But a natural lie. Everything should be ergonomic for the body on the table. Why we're forcing our backs to look like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shell is unbelievable to me. Do you understand what I mean by that? Their backs are all rounded and stuff. I guarantee you that's not healthy for the body either. But anyway, that's my thought there.
It isn't. Man, it was like, I'm really excited. I can't wait to get on the table, test it out. I want to see how far you can go, what you will learn from this. Maybe there's going to be new iterations and things like that. Plus, I'm very excited in the next card because Artem and Auden are going to be there, but I think much more interesting matches. And I'm just excited that someone is trying to implement something new, trying to figure out a way how to do things that doesn't just differently and maybe better. And we will see, right? So it's just the start of an experiment. If we're going to talk in a year, let's see what you learned and what I learned. And I just want to thank you for that.
I thank you for this, for the platform. I appreciate it. And are you familiar with a puller from the United States named Jerome Loud?
Yes.
He's going to be pulling Curtis Cameron. That's a guy who I think is ripe for an East versus West shot. We'll see how he does against Curtis. And Oleg Danilov, he is his left arm. He's a Ukrainian guy lives in Canada now. He's going to pull Brad Grundy. I don't like making predictions, so I won't. But I think people East versus West and some of those bigger promotions need to take a look at that Oleg. Pretty much watch our card and tell me if you don't think there's some guys there that you should put on the regular.
There's so much great arm wrestlers, like East versus West King of Table just cannot put all those matches. So I think it's great when they have an opportunity to show them and boost their profile, right? You, Arm Wars, Knuckles Up, Arm Havoc, the guys from Indiana.
AWE.
There's so many of those. It's craziness. And I think all of them will boost arm wrestling.
Well, what does Neil say all the time about rising tides?
Yes.
Raise all ships, right? And honestly, if East versus West and KOTT were to embrace us other leagues, they would understand that we could be an excellent feeder system to that system. I would like to look at MAC eventually as our own sport, because we're so different, and that we would like to be the pinnacle of Mac arm wrestling because of all the rule changes, our specialized tables, and our rules. So I'm going to have a ranking system based on Mac only. And I actually am not concerned if you and me were the same caliber and same weight category and say you beat me, that it doesn't affect regular rankings because the style is different.
Yeah,
Because who
it's
knows?
like you said,
It,
it's a different sport. Feels like a different sport, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's so refreshing to hear it from someone because most people want to say like, no, this is better and just exactly like it is. When you just like, no, it's not. It's different, and we're
It's
gonna
not
treat it.
better. It doesn't necessarily mean it's better. There's
Yeah.
things that the sport of arm wrestling right now is superior to, and that certainly is anything that's outside the strap will be uh, more executed on a WAF table than on a Mac table, right? Because of
Mhm.
how strap heavy Mac is. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, like John Brzezinks and like yourself, like there's a lot of arm ninjas. I I forget your training partner,
Giannis. Giannis.
dude. Like this guy is a hand
Yeah.
ninja. You
As
know what I
soon as you
mean?
said someone's gonna get like he will not have advantages without the strap, I was first thing Giannis. I was like, oh, poor Giannis.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so to be honest with you, I'm okay with that because I just want to see something when all things are fair. So the webbing, so guys aren't taking the cheating, like, maybe not ducking thumbs or not doing all kinds of like, the manipulation stuff. I
Yeah.
just, and the reason they can't is because our setup literally like grab you, we match your webbings. Then the referee throws the straps on so the webbing maintains, right? Then we're like, okay, got you center, not only center this way, we got you center this way, we got you where you want. We say, don't move. It's not like a ref script, don't move. We just don't want you to move. We got you there. So then we go and we grab the wrists. So we're happy. Everyone's happy with the wrist. And I say, don't move. Then I say, close your thumbs, close your hands, go, and it just rocks. You know what I
Man,
mean?
yeah, I really want to try. I want to see more. I wish you all success. I want
Thank
to
you.
see like uh, what lessons we're going to learn from this. It's a nice new outlet for arm wrestling and classes. Plus, I like that arm wrestlers have an opportunity to pull because all we want to do is pull. Like we wouldn't be doing this for nothing else. We just want to
Right,
compete, right?
right. I've said that. I said that too. Imagine if WAF was to adopt Max style. Maybe you don't have to put everybody in the straps, but you could, because it would take a long time for a 1,500 person event, right? Throw everybody in straps. I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. Um, but if they adopted some of the rules that we had, I bet you they could run through those events much quicker. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. That's always a problem. Anyway, thank you, Ian. I gotta run. I gotta eat, and thank you for taking your time out of the day and being here. And guys, check out Mac. I'm gonna post all the links in the description. You can find it there.
Thanks. Thank you for the opportunity as well.